Hello and welcome to Scholar Trading. For Christmas special, I'm going to do a quick lesson on divergence and convergence. So, simply put, it's when price line is going this way and the RSI or MACD is going this way, or vice versa, okay? So I'll give you the theory first, and then I'll show you in practical what this looks like, okay? Oops, let's get that. All right, and the top is the price. Okay, where the candles are. And the bottom is the RSI or the histogram on the MACD. All right. Okay, so this means that as price is climbing, the histogram from the two peaks of the price is actually lower on its second consecutive peak, right? And that would indicate that it's very likely going to go into a sell. And I'll just write that in as well. Geez, diver. There we go. So that's a sell divergence, and this is a buy divergence. All right. Okay, very simple to find, and I'll show you how to do that in just a second. So we'll dive in. So that is divergence. Okay, convergence is when both lines are going in the same direction, right? Which very likely means that the pattern will continue. All right, so as you can see, this would be a sell and a buy. Now let's just write convergence. Okay. There we go. Okay, so divergence and convergence, that's all it is. And then price and candles. Okay, RSI and histogram. So that is what we're going to be looking for. Ideally, divergence is going to have stronger plays. So I'll just go down and we're going to take a look at these two areas here. All right, let's see how this all looks like. I'll just zoom in a little bit and we're going to find some maybe a couple examples of this, right? I want to make sure that it's clearly understood. So when we see something like this, okay, we want to go to the highs right here. So unfortunately, like this is too far spread out. I prefer going into a larger time frame. Okay, hopefully it didn't set me all the way back. But 4-hour time frame is good to look at for longer term trades. Thing is, divergence and convergence can be used even on the 1-minute time frame, right? It's very adaptable, and on the smaller time frames, that's when you're going to be doing more scalps than anything else. Okay, so I'll just show it to you on a 4-hour, and feel free to apply it however you see fit. Okay, but as one example, this is this a pretty good sign? No, because then we're like the only thing about the MACD is it is a higher peak here, but the RSI is showing lower, right? So before we dive into that, actually, so in order to the two indicators that you need, or you can have one or the other. I like having both because if I see that the MACD and the RSI don't line up, I ignore it. If they both line up against the price line, then it's a much stronger indicator that it's divergence or convergence, depending on what you're looking for. Okay, so let's see. What do we want to look for? Here's a good example. Okay. So here's something that doesn't quite line up in the other two spots either, right? So here's our high to our new high, right? So I lined it up in the crosshairs, as you can see. This is lower on the MACD. Okay, and if we're going just solely based on that, That's divergence, and very likely we're going to see a drop come up after the next peak. And sure enough, there goes the drop, right? The only trouble is on the RSI, it doesn't quite line up with that, right? It goes slightly higher too. So you can see that there's multiple divergences, right? It converges the RSI with the price, but there's a divergence between the RSI and the MACD. That's not a bad thing, actually, because when there is divergence between RSI and MACD, right, that is a very good indicator that this is also going to be dropping. And perfect example coming up right here, right? Especially when it's in the oversold territory. I wouldn't bother looking when it's somewhere in the middle, right? There's a lot of price action that can happen. RSI is a great indicator to see when something's been overbought or oversold. Sorry, this is overbought territory. Great indicator where it's overbought or oversold, and that's where the quick potential reversals can come in. So actually another great example, let's draw up right here. Okay, so you can see the lows. So here's one low going to another low. Okay, right before that. And then this is the MACD. And where it drops off was just here before it starts climbing. Right, and this is a much stronger indicator because the MACD and the RSI both line up. And sure enough, this is, right, what did we go up before? That is buyer's divergence, correct? Right, where that's going down and that's going up, going down, going up, right? That's this one right here. Okay, that's buyer's divergence. And so convergence would be if it's all pointing in the same direction, right? So let's try to find some now. All right. So, okay, here's a good example, right? Let's see if we can match up the RSI here, right, where it's at its peak. Oh, missed it a little bit. Nope, that's still divergence, right? But the trouble is that it's so minuscule that that's not something that you'd want to be taking any trades off of on a sell, right? Because you can clearly see it's trending upwards. So let's find another one. Let's find some convergence. I might have to zoom just to a random spot. Let's see. Okay. Okay, here's a good example. All right, so we can see a low here, and then it makes a lower low here. All right, what happens on the MACD? Right there and right there. So that's convergence. They're pointing in the same direction. RSI agrees. So that is convergence. That shows that this very likely will continue going down. So my only concern when taking trades off of a convergence instead of divergence is you really have to be careful if it's not sitting in the oversold or overbought territories. Okay, if you have the convergence, but it's way up here, right? So you can see that these two peaks, for example, would be, one would be lower than the next. It'd be a much smarter way to take the trade, right? But convergence isn't typically how you enter positions anyway, right? Just so you know how to spot it, again, I will stretch this out just so you can see exactly what it looks like. You know, sell divergence, buy divergence, and then buy and sell convergence. All right, guys, I hope that helps. Merry Christmas, and I'll see you in the new year.